Joining me now is the highest-ranking Democrat that McCarthy is threatening, Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, who was also, of course, on the January 6th committee and led Donald Trump's first impeachment. Congressman, it's no surprise that you're being targeted, I suppose, for this kind of retaliation. But in having covered the House, I'm quite surprised, given that it is not even parallel to anything that has been contemplated against a veteran member of former chair if you were dethroned, as if the Republicans take over. You know, what's your response?
Well, I mean, the two are not disconnected. That is what Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar want is really important to Kevin McCarthy right now. He not only defends the QAnon base of his support, but he's terrified of losing it. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for vengeance. So Kevin McCarthy, craven as ever, is calling for vengeance. Frankly, though, the threat I'm more concerned about is Kevin McCarthy will do whatever Donald Trump tells him to do. And far apart from committee assignments, that means that Kevin McCarthy will vote to overturn the next presidential election, if Donald Trump loses again. He voted to do so the first time. He'll vote to do so again, only this time, if he should ever be in the majority or be speaker, he has the ability to carry that out. And that is such a real and direct threat to our democracy. Kevin McCarthy can never allowed to become speaker. And in that sense, I think the midterms are really an election in which democracy itself will be on the ballot.
One final point on this is when you Democrats took over, you didn't remove Devin Nunes as the ranking Republican, even though you and he had been adversaries during all the years when he was chair.
No, of course not. And, you know, I think the break in precedent here is that McCarthy has been unwilling to hold his own members to account, as we saw in the past with others, whether they were Democratic or Republican speakers. They would hold their own members to a certain ethical standard. McCarthy hasn't done that. And so it's fallen on the Democratic Party to enforce some ethics involving when members glorify violence or death threats against other members or engage in dangerous conspiracy theories or racist rhetoric or conduct. But McCarthy has broken that precedent. And will he break other precedent? Really depends on what his QAnon base wants, and even more importantly, what Donald Trump wants.
Let me ask you about Mike Pence, because the New York Times is reporting that the former vice president is annoyed, disillusioned with the committee as it seeks to question him. How concerned are you that he won't cooperate? Because you may well not have the legal tools to try to get him to cooperate.
Well, I hope that he'll be willing to cooperate. I suspect, though, that his decision won't be based on whether he likes the committee or doesn't like the committee or likes something the committee said or doesn't. I think he's trying to figure out politically how it impacts him. I don't think that should be the predominant consideration. It ought to be what's best for the country. Mike Pence knows that he is a material witness to efforts to overturn the election. He was the target of many of those efforts. He was the subject of death threats. They had a noose erected outside the Capitol, a gallows for him, because he did his constitutional duty, because he refused to capitulate to Donald Trump's demand that he ignore the Constitution and essentially decertify the election results. So I think he understands very well what's best for the country. What he's trying to figure out is what's best for Mike Pence. I hope that he'll do what's best for the country.
And we're hearing something very different from another Republican Senator Mike Rounds, saying that his party should tell the truth about the 2020 election after he was attacked by former President Trump in recent days. Take a listen to Senator Rounds' comments.
I think as Republicans, we owe it to tell the truth. And I think integrity matters. And so, in my opinion, if we want to keep the confidence of our supporters and our voters, then we have to be honest with them.
And the less than a minute that we've got left, can you respond to that?
Well, he's absolutely right. The truth matters. Integrity matters. If the Republican Party is going to have any future, it has to get back to being a party of ideas and ideology and not this anti-truth cult of the former president. So I think he's spot on. And I think it will also not only be important for the Republican Party, it's important for the country that both parties be wedded to the truth and stop tearing down, in the case of the Republican Party, public confidence in our elections, because that way leads to political violence, as we saw on January 6th.
Adam Schiff, Congressman, thanks for sharing with us today. We appreciate your being here.